Does an ESOP make sense for your business? Hi, I'm John Taylor, founder of Stanton Park Capital, best-selling author of Maximize Your Multiple, the Business Owner's Guide to the Institutional Money Deal. So does an ESOP make sense for your business, or rather an employee stock ownership plan make sense for your business? So I talk to business owners often, and this question comes up a lot more frequently than I might have expected. You know, a lot of business owners are interested in the idea of a employee stock ownership plan. I think because it's the idea of giving the business to their employees seems like the right thing to do in some ways. You know, I think business owners like for opportunities to get employees more engaged. And I remember just personal stories. So early in my career, I worked for one of these .coms in the late 90s and got some stock options in the company. And this was, you know, like my first or second job out of school, and was excited about the idea of having stock options or, you know, having a piece of the company. I mean, it helped me kind of, you know, kind of be more excited to be there, you know, even though, I mean, it wasn't like a significant percentage of the company, but in any case, I remember being animated by the idea of being an owner in a business, and you know, I think it helped me kind of think about what were the right things to do for the company, and so anyway, employee stock ownership plans were created in 1974 as part of ERISA, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, and there's a lot of research that actually shows that employee-owned companies outperform non-employee-owned companies because employees are more engaged when they own stock. They're more incentivized to make the right decisions. You know, obviously, look, it's not a cure-all. It doesn't mean that your business is just going to take off because you've got an ESOP plan in place. But, you know, there's some evidence to show that ESOP companies perform better than those that aren't. So, you know, I think that's interesting. And there are a lot of great benefits to ESOPs. A lot of them are tax related. So, for example, when the way an ESOP works typically is an ESOP is set up as a separate entity with a trustee, and the ESOP borrows money from a bank, or it could be an equity source, you know, private equity firm, to fund the purchase of the shares of the business. And it could be a minority stake or a majority stake. So basically it gets bought out, and so it basically creates a debt for the company that gets paid off over time. And the interest payments as well as the principal payments are tax deductible. So normally you think that, you know, in some cases interest payments like on your mortgage are tax deductible, but also in this case the principal payments are also tax deductible. So I don't know if there's another case in U.S. tax law where principal payments are tax deductible, but that's a great benefit. Also, the proceeds to the seller. So if you're the owner of the company selling the company to the ESOP, your proceeds, if you roll them over into another U.S. security under 1040, you can do a 1042 rollover, and you can do that on a tax-free basis. So again, another great tax benefit to an ESOP. Now, look, there are costs to ESOPs as well, which are significant. And I spoke with an attorney today, and she outlined some of those costs because that was something I'd always thought about. But anyway, just to set up the trustee, I mean, you might be looking at 25 to 50 grand to start. I mean, these are like low-end estimates in a lot of ways. I mean, I've seen ESOP, you know, clients that have ESOP plans in place, and they're spending several $100,000s a year to keep an ESOP in place. So even though there are great benefits to the company, to the employees, et cetera, these are not cheap plans to put in place. You know, you're going to be spending tens of thousands of dollars at a minimum to do one of these, right? So setting up the trustee, 25 to 50,000 to start, 20 to 25 grand in kind of ongoing maintenance. You have to do an annual ESOP valuation and hire a valuation firm to do an annual valuation of ESOP, which gets submitted for tax purposes, just to understand what the company's worth on an annual basis. The upfront legal cost to do the purchase and sale agreement, diligence, you're talking, you know, 20 to 30 grand on the low end. I mean, otherwise you're looking at probably six figures in legal costs to start up an ESOP. And then you've got record keeping and administrative expenses, because basically you're setting up a retirement plan for the employees. So when employees have been with the company for a year, they're eligible to participate in the ESOP plan. And so they would get a grant of shares, which gets contributed to a retirement plan, kind of like a 401k plan. But someone has to administer that plan, and there's an administrative cost, record keeping that to make sure that people's accounts and, how much stock each person has and what all that's worth gets accounted for, right? So anyway, so yeah, I mean, you're talking, 6 figures easy to get started on an ESOP. But again, there are great benefits. A lot of people are interested in ESOPs. A lot of business owners like the idea of transitioning ownership because it's kind of a third alternative, right? If you think about transitioning ownership of a business, either you're going to sell to a strategic buyer, financial buyer, or you could sell to an ESOP is one kind of third approach out there. So I think obviously I wouldn't say that there's necessarily like a minimum size, although, for most businesses doing ESOPs, usually you got to have about $1 million in annual profit for it to make sense, just because it is the cost is significant. So anyway, hope that answers your question about ESOPs. Feel free to reach out to me if you'd like more information. Check out the links in the description below. Feel free to schedule a consultation with me. Check out my book, Maximize Your Multiple, The Business Owner's Guide to the Institutional Money Deal. Thanks.